Today, we are going to be looking at a new verb tense. In fact, you're going to be learning a little bit about a whole group of verb tenses, but we're only going to be focusing on one, and that is the present perfect verb tense. 3 of these words should give you no problem whatsoever. You know that verbs are very important words in English. Every sentence in English needs at least one verb. You also know that tense is a word that essentially just means time. This is one of the important functions or jobs of verbs in sentences. They help tell us the time. That's why we use a circle to identify verbs in sentences. Present is one of the 3 general ideas of time in English. We have the past, the present, and the future. Today, we're going to be talking about the perfect tenses. Now, the perfect tenses are made by using a very specific construction. It always has to have, all of the perfect verb tenses, have to have this verb first, have. And this is the verb that's going to change according to the general tense or time. So in the past perfect, you would use had. In the present perfect, you have to be aware of subject-verb agreement. For a singular subject, you would use has plus the past participle. I'll get to that. And for a plural subject, you would use have plus the past participle. I'm getting to that. That is the other part of this construction, the past participle. Now, you already know a lot of past participles, even if this is your first time ever hearing about past participles. The reason for that is because we've already studied the simple past. And for any regular verb, that means we add ed to the end in order to use it in the simple past. That is the past participle. The past participle is the word we use to show the simple past in regular verbs. Now remember that the simple past defines what regular or irregular is, and that's the reason. If the verb uses ed in the simple past, it's regular. If it doesn't, it's irregular. And you already know a ton of these verbs. Let's look at a couple right over here. Be is probably the most irregular verb in the English language. It changes all the time. It changes in the present, in the past. It's one of the only verbs in the past that still uses subject-verb agreement. This is a tricky little verb. Anyway, in the simple past, be becomes was or were. As a past participle, however, when we use it in the perfect tenses, we're going to be using have been. Been is the past participle of be. Walked is our example of a regular verb, right? So you know the word walk. In the simple past, it's walked. We just add ed, and the past participle is the same. Have walked. Run, you know the simple past is ran. As a past participle, it's actually the same as the present, which is weird. It's just strange. It's not regular. It's irregular. Have run. For read, the word looks the same, but it sounds different in the past. I read a book every day, or I read many books in the past, and here it becomes I have read. So it's the same as the simple past. That's not always the case. Look at write. I wrote versus I have written. And then we have, which changes to had in the simple past, and here this becomes I have had. We'll get to that. Last, everybody eats. You ate something today, I hope, and that means you have already eaten. Okay, so eaten is the past participle. Irregular verbs are just words where you have to learn the simple past versus their past participle, because there's not a lot of rules or patterns that we can just teach you that you can use all the time. So that's one of the joys of learning English. So the present perfect is generally used to ask the question, have you ever? Okay? So when we use the present perfect, we're talking about something that has happened in the past, but we're not being specific as to when. So essentially, the past is this big cloud of mystery, and we're pulling into the present information without giving any details about the past. So I might ask you, have you ever run a race? Have you run a race? Have you ever written a story? Have you ever eaten Rocky Road ice cream? Oh, I have eaten Rocky Road ice cream. Let me tell you, it's so delicious. It's got the chocolate and the vanilla and the fudge and the marshmallows and some nut. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. Anyway, you are now going to have a chance to practice this, but before you do, let's review.
Intro to Present Perfect Verb Tense. What is the present perfect verb tense used for? It is generally used to answer the questions, have you ever? It is talking about something that has happened in the past, but not in a specific manner. What is the construction for the perfect verb tenses? All of the perfect verb tenses have to have plus past participle. In the present perfect verb tense with a singular subject, what verb tense of the to have verb is used? Has plus past participle. In the present perfect verb tense with a plural subject, what verb tense of the to have verb is used? Have plus past participle. What is a past participle? It is a word that is used to show the simple past tense of regular verbs.